Yo, what up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Akashic Review. I haven't been on here in a while, YouTube that is. So what's good, y'all? How's everybody doing? How's everybody feeling? I hope everybody's doing well. This summer's been mad crazy with all the energies that have been happening, all the retrograde activity. But I'm going to get into something today. Today's September 7th, 2018. Mac Miller just died today. For those of y'all who do not know who Mac Miller is a rapper from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 26 years old. He died of an apparent drug overdose. I just wanted to show y'all his chart, show you guys his transits, which is where the planets are today in comparison to where they were when he was born. The conversation that's happening between those energies really gives us a clear image of just kind of some of the things that were going on with him. More so than that, we can just see where the culprit is energetically in terms of why he passed, why that overdose happened, why that manifested. Some of these transits he had, y'all, this is why astrology is so important. Astrology is so relevant. Get your natal chart read. Hit me up. I offer that service. Get your natal chart read. Get your transits read. Figure out what your life's mission is, what your purpose is. But more importantly, know where the planets are today in relation to where they were when you were born. If you keep an eye on that, you will know when to not do any drugs, when to not go skydiving. There are certain times, you guys, when negativity will be easier to manifest for you. Depending on where your planets are, depending on what you have going on energetically, you know what I'm saying? There's certain times of year that you should just really lay low, be a little bit more careful, a lot more cautious. Certainly don't ingest drugs and harmful substances. This situation is near and dear to me because Mac Miller has a Capricorn stellium in his birth chart. A stellium means you have 4 or more planets in the same sign. I have this. I have 5 planets in Capricorn. His sun is actually the same degree as mine. His sun is 29 degrees Capricorn. 28. In his chart is 28. Mine is 29 degrees Capricorn. Even though we were born on the same day, there's a degree off there, but still, this is important because Mars currently is sitting at 29 degrees Capricorn. It's directly in transit conjunction to my sun. I've been feeling it. I've been staying in the crib, y'all. Like, I'm not going nowhere. I'm not putting myself out there. I'm not giving it, lots of opportunities to manifest. Obviously, I could still drop dead anyway, even in the house, even in the crib, but it's still important. And this is also a good illustration. You shouldn't ever really predict people's death with astrology. When you look back in retrospect at the chart of someone that died, it tends to be pretty easy and pretty simple to kind of figure out what manifested that death. But it's not always that clear. Sometimes you really can't figure out what it was. Sometimes things do happen by chance. Sometimes there are accidents. Sometimes people go too soon. In this case, you can see that it was his time in a way. You can see why it manifested. He definitely should have been a little bit more careful with himself. Unfortunately, it's a really tragic thing. Dude just had an album out recently. For those of you that don't know anything about him, he used to date Ariana Grande. They broke up, and I guess he's been really depressed about it. That's why he turned to drugs, and here we are. Lots of information. Apologies. But yo, astrology is the tea, y'all. As a matter of fact, I forgot to let y'all know because I'm bringing you that hot tea. Get your hot tea. Hot tea here, for real. Tea all around. I got some chamomile in here because I'm having weird digestion things. Got this cool little constellation mug. Digestive issues. Mars is conjunct my sun, so I'm experiencing uncomfortable Martian things in my life right now, but whatever. So without further ado though, I'm going to flip this camera around and we're going to look at this chart that I drew up. For those of you that are going to be skeptics, you can Google this information. Birth charts are public. The only thing is I don't have Mac Miller's birth time, so this is not a complete chart. This chart starts at Aries and finishes at Pisces just the same way. You know, the Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. If I knew Mac Miller's exact birth time, the chart would start at a different point. So I don't have the fullest interpretation. However, I do know where the planets currently are sitting in his chart in aspect to his planets when he was born. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. I'm just going to kind of flip this around. Oh, I guess it won't let me do that. So we're going to just look at it like this. And all right, you guys, let's dive right into this chart. So, first of all, this has been a really tough year for Capricorns, you guys. I have 5 planets in Cap. Mars was retrograde into Capricorn. It went into Aquarius and it came back into Cap. It's still in Capricorn, but it's gone direct now. Saturn was retrograde for a really long time. He is now direct as well at 2 degrees Capricorn currently. And again, this is for everyone. These are where the planets are today. Lilith was retrograde for a while in Capricorn, and now she sits at 13 degrees. Pluto is still retrograde in Capricorn at 18 degrees. The planets on the outside, I have the planetary symbols with the degree that they sit in. The green on the outside is where the planets are today. On the inside, these planet symbols are where they were when Mac Miller was born. When was Mac Miller born? January 19th, 1992. So I'm exactly 3 years older than him. He was born on the same day as me. So I resonate with all the Capricorn struggles. Again, we don't have his rising sign. So not particularly sure about what houses his chart falls in. So we're going to go with the traditional Aries through Pisces for now. And we're really just going to look at the conjunctions and the oppositions. That's really all the story that you need right here. Pretty clear cut. It was his time. If it wasn't his time, he really needed to be very careful. Very, very careful. There's a lot of tough energy here happening for him. So let's get right into it. I'm going to save the Capricorn for last. So the first thing that I really want to talk to you about is death in charts in general. More often than not, it's Jupiter or the moon. A lot of people would think Mars, Pluto, even Neptune. And yeah, sometimes, you know, that can be part of the story. But for the most part, it's Jupiter and it's the moon. Jupiter and the moon, think of them as like the bridges into the spiritual realm. Neptune is that as well, but it's an outer planet. It's further away. It still has a very strong influence, but not as much as Jupiter and the moon. So when you have those Jupiter transits, those moon transits, and you pass away, those planets are bringing that channel and bringing that bridge, bringing that wormhole for you to go to wherever it is you karmically are connected to go and enter into after this existence. So Jupiter right now is sitting at 18 degrees Scorpio. It's 5 degrees away from my ascendant. I've been feeling it. However, Jupiter is right now conjunct Mac Miller's natal Pluto at 22 degrees Scorpio. So Mac Miller, part of the Pluto and Scorpio generation. We definitely came here to do some shit. Death and rebirth in the sign of, you know, sex organs, secrets, darkness, things of that nature, the occult. We see that happening. Pluto and Scorpio generation, think HIV, death and rebirth to the sex organs, to sexuality. That was a literal and physical manifestation of this energy. So we see a Jupiter transit, and we just talked about Jupiter sometimes being that channel. Pluto kind of bringing death and rebirth. So that energy was sort of triggered for him. Moving on, we have Uranus at 2 degrees Taurus. This is also sort of pulling on his Pluto at 20 degrees Scorpio. There's an opposition happening, not a direct opposition, but it's still enough for the energies to be pulling on each other. Even Jupiter, Jupiter and Uranus right now for everyone are kind of on opposite sides of the spectrum. So there's a tug of war that happens with that. So yeah, pretty much this Jupiter and Pluto conjunction, that already is starting to give us a story. Moving on. This is a huge one for me. This is probably what I would say the culprit was. Neptune right now is in Pisces for everyone at 15 degrees. Mac Miller had Jupiter retrograde in Virgo at 14 degrees. There's a direct opposition between his natal Jupiter and Neptune right now in Pisces. So Neptune is about connectivity. It's about the other worlds, like the higher realms, heaven, afterlife, your existence that escapes the physical limitations, physical restrictions. Think about dreams, illusions, deception, things that aren't very tangible, things that are very aloof. So you have that pulling on his natal Jupiter. Jupiter, again, being someone's vitality. Jupiter being spirituality, being that channel to the higher realms. Jupiter co-rules the sign of Pisces. So, the Lord of the 12th house sitting opposite in the 6th house, pulling on that Neptune retrograde energy. There's just a very, very, very big tug of war happening right there with those energies. And like I said earlier, more often than not, Jupiter can be the culprit in these situations. Another thing with him is that Cancer moon. And we just had, the full moon in Cancer. We had the eclipse in Cancer, rather. So that eclipse energy lingers for about a month or so. Some people would say 2 months, sometimes even 3, depending on the sign, depending on where it's hitting you in your chart. So that sort of activated some of this energy for him. And now we have the North Node retrograde. It's actually going this way right now because it's retrograde, but the North Node moves the opposite direction than the other planets do. So with that, it's going to go into Cancer. And it's pretty close to Cancer now. So, that combined with the lunar activity definitely sort of activated and pulled on some things here. And the reason why this is so important is because Cancer sits opposite Capricorn. So right away, Mac Miller had a Sun-Moon opposition in his natal chart. This is pretty profound because there is this theme right now of Cancer Capricorn. That axis has sort of been going back and forth this year. We had all of the lunar activity in Cancer, but then we've had Saturn, Pluto, and we had Mars in Capricorn. Right now Lilith is in Capricorn. So all of that Capricorn energy has been pulling on the Cancer energy. You're seeing it manifest in the material realm. We have the Me Too movement that's going on at the moment. Lots of women are coming into their power. They are, outing their predators and their abusers. So that divine feminine energy is kind of becoming stronger, becoming more confident. And, it's being more of an adversary to the dying male patriarchy, which is what that Pluto in Capricorn is really bringing. We're seeing all of these very powerful men, all of their dirt is coming out. All of their secrets are coming out, especially with Pluto retrograde right now. Pluto ruling the 8th house in Scorpio, secrets. There's a lot of that going on. So that Capricorn Cancer axis is very important. And then again, just last but not least, looking at his Capricorn energy, he had Lilith Sun, Mercury, Neptune, Uranus, North Node, and Mars in Capricorn, you guys. So what happens with this is, first of all, Saturn just went direct at 2 degrees Capricorn. So before, where that Saturn energy might have been cut off, might have been functioning a little bit differently, that click of Saturn going direct now sort of activates all of this Capricorn energy. So we're going to start seeing some of these themes really come to fruition as Saturn gains some steam and moves forward. So with that, we have Lilith at 13 degrees Capricorn right now. That's hitting a bunch of his planets, you guys. That's hitting his Mars, which is at 13 degrees Capricorn. So Mars conjunct Lilith. Moreover, he's got North Node, 9 degrees Capricorn. So Lilith is hitting that North Node right now as well. Mercury and Uranus at 14 degrees Capricorn in his natal chart. So those are both conjunct Lilith. Neptune at 16 degrees, that's also conjunct Lilith. And also conjunct Pluto. Pluto is currently at 18 degrees. So that is hitting his Neptune, Uranus, Mercury, North Node, Mars, Pluto, death and rebirth. So that 28 degree Sun of his and that 29 degree Lilith of his is right now being hit by Mars. Mars is at 29 degrees Capricorn. When you have a Mars transit on your Sun, I'm very familiar with this because my Sun is also at 29 degrees Capricorn. So I've been, looking that up and feeling into that, being aware of it. When you have Mars conjunct your Sun, it's a really, it can be a tumultuous time. It can be a time where you're prone to more accidents, things just going wrong, volatile expressions from other people, just drama and, hardship kind of seeking you out, accidents, working with knives, working with technology, machinery, all of these things you have to be extremely careful with during this time. So again, just the combination of all of these very dark, very heavy energies hitting that Capricorn stellium of his, it was just way too much for him. I would wager that his rising is probably something like Pisces or Virgo, is what I would assume, just because of the way things are hitting his chart right now. But even without that, it's just kind of all over his chart, especially again, natal Jupiter opposite transit Neptune, transit Jupiter conjunct natal Pluto, transit Mars conjunct natal Lilith, Saturn, Sun, what else? Transit Pluto conjunct Neptune, Uranus, Mercury, North Node, Mars. Transit Lilith conjunct Neptune, Uranus, Mercury, North Node, Mars. And then transit Saturn is conjunct his North Node, and it's still in Capricorn, lending all of those heavy vibes and heavy lessons and themes to his stellium. So what I really feel and resonate with is he never truly got over that breakup with Ariana Grande. She was just at the VMAs with her boyfriend. She's supposedly super in love with him. And I think that was just too much for Mac Miller. He just, that was kind of the love of his life. And he let the drugs get to him. Neptune is in Pisces. So escapism, overdoses, these things are at an all-time high right now. Neptune rules escapism. Neptune is going to give you this delusional need to escape the bounds of reality. So whether that's thrill-seeking, being addicted to sex, turning to drugs, anything you can do to distract yourself from reality, very Neptunian. That's pretty much all I have for you guys today in terms of this chart and this energy. Follow me on Instagram at @the_Akashic_review. That Akashic is spelled Akashic. If you would like to book a reading from me, you can email me at theakashicreview@gmail.com, or you can visit my website and book me through there, and that's theakashicreview.strikingly.com. So yeah, reach out to me, guys, if you would like to get your birth chart done, get your transits done. I do tarot readings as well. Check out my website, follow me on Instagram, and be safe out there, guys, especially those of you with all this Capricorn energy. Keep your vibes pure, keep yourself out of danger, and yeah, just be well. Peace, guys.